It is 5:31 p.m. We are calling this Calexico City Council meeting, regular meeting, to order at 5:31 p.m. If we could have a roll call for the council.
Mayor Raúl Ureña.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Romo.
Here.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares. Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay. Seeing no public comments, we will be adjourning to closed session. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Calexico City Council open session agenda, regular meeting for November 15th, 2023. If we could please take roll call for the open session.
Mayor Raúl Ureña.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Romo.
Present.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Here.
Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares.
Here.
Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Here.
Let us rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Camilo, if you could help with the commission.
Sure. City of Calexico mission statement. Together, we pledge to provide effective and efficient services in a courteous and respectful manner to improve the quality of life for all in our unique border community. Viva Calexico. Those who wish to stand up for the invocation, may so. If not, you can be seated. Almighty God, on behalf of all who are gathered here tonight, thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself and for our health that we need to fulfill our callings. I pray for the agenda set before us today, given assurance of the decisions we make tonight will be for the best and benefit of those who live and work in our beloved city of Calexico. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Mr. Campos, any closed session announcements?
Thank you, Mayor. We have no reportable actions from closed session. Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Moving on to the approval of the agenda, are there any motions?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Moreno. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Roma. We'll have a roll call vote.
Mayor Raúl Ureña.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Romo.
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares.
Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Yes.
Okay, the agenda is hereby approved. We're going to be starting with the proclamation for Farm Worker Appreciation Week. I do know we have Ms. Ruiz or Ms. Garcia here present. If I may just read the proclamation first, and you may take your place. Calexico City Council Proclamation Farm Worker Appreciation Week. Whereas agriculture has traditionally been the backbone of the economy of the Imperial Valley, and whereas Imperial Valley farm workers have tilled the soil, sowed the seed, and harvested the crops of this rich agricultural area, and whereas these workers and the agricultural industry have provided food in abundance for the people in cities, nations, and around the world, have contributed greatly to the economy of Calexico and the Imperial Valley. Whereas the Calexico City Council recognizes the contributions which these migratory workers and the agricultural industry have made to the community, and whereas Calexico City Council believes in the dignity of tilling the soil and tending the crops, and whereas the City of Calexico recognizes agriculture will continue to play a strong role in our community's economy. Now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Calexico does hereby proclaim on November 26, 2023 through December 2nd, 2023, Farm Worker Appreciation Week, in witness whereof I hereunto affix my signature and the official seal of the City of Calexico on this 15th day of November 2023. We'll have Ms. Garcia saying a couple words and receiving this proclamation.
Good afternoon or good evening.
On behalf of the Farm Worker Breakfast Committee, I would like to thank you for your contribution with the proclamation, and to invite you again this year to our breakfast. It's a big event, and hoping that one day you guys can attend. I was also asked to, I was also told to ask regarding the waiver, if you guys have had a status update on that.
The TUP a waiver is a waiver for nonprofit organization. That is allowable. But the TUP fee,
I'm sorry, for the what?
the temporary use permit is waived for nonprofit organizations.
Okay,
But that's only $135.
okay.
What we cannot waive is the expenses,
The-
any other expenses.
Yeah,
Yes.
for like the cleaning and
Yes.
what the city does, okay. Okay, great. Thank you.
If you could kindly receive this proclamation on behalf of the City Council. The Farm Worker Appreciation. Thank you for your hard service.
Thank you so much. Hi. Thank you.
Mr. Miguel Hernandez, moving on to Salt and Sea Management. If we can have an applause for Ms. Garcia and her work on the Farm Worker Breakfast. Adelante, señor Hernández.
Muchas gracias. Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches. My name is Miguel Hernandez. I'm the Public Affairs Officer with the California Natural Resources Agency. I'm here tonight to present a brief overview of our program, what's happening at the Salton Sea on the restoration side. And I appreciate the opportunity for the council and the mayor to provide this update on behalf of the state of California. I have a few slides to support my presentation. So. And while we wait for our technology to get working, if I may, just wanted to share real quick that the Salton Sea Management Program is doing a series of presentations throughout the region, from Indio, Palm Desert, all the way to Calexico. So all city councils in between, we're going out there to present this same information to get the word out about what's happening at the Salton Sea. We have some projects happening right now. We have some commitments to deliver, and we have some projects and processes coming down the pipeline, which I'll go through my presentation here. And if we can hit the next slide, please. Okay, and just to kind of guide you, this is actually a bilingual presentation, so just to kind of help guide your eyes. On your left-hand side, you'll see, or in blue text, you'll see in English, and then you'll see a green box to your right in Spanish. So, next slide, please. So just a quick overview of what we're going to see or hear today. It's a brief overview of the Salton Sea Management Program, who we are, who the agencies responsible for delivering these projects are. Also, a little bit about the current Salton Sea Management Program projects happening today at the sea, and also projects in planning phases, meaning those that are coming down the pipeline for future years. Next slide, please. Okay, I'll begin with sharing a little bit of who we are. If we can hit the next slide. The Salton Sea Management Program is actually comprised of 3 state agencies, being led by the California Natural Resources Agency in partnership with the California Department of Water Resources and the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Together, we come together as the Salton Sea Management Program, aka SSMP team for short. However, our program does not operate with only these 3 agencies. Just, the complexity of the Salton Sea requires us to work in collaboration with multiple agencies, with our state leaders, local leaders, and other federal partners, tribal partners. So it's more than a 3-agency team. It requires a lot of collaboration, and perhaps you'll hear the same word collaboration throughout my presentation here today, because that's how we have been able to get work done in the last 3 or 4 years since the Newsom administration. So next slide, please. To talk a little bit about the challenges on the Salton Sea. First, it's the exposed lake bed, the dust that's coming out of the exposed lake bed. We all know that the sea has shrinked a bit in the last couple of decades, and that potential impact from the dust coming off the playa, it's definitely something to pay attention to, and that's something that the program in the state of California is keeping an eye towards, and making sure that we deliver on our projects, to make sure that we help protect public health and help protect air quality in the region. Also, the increased salinity at the Salton Sea. The Salton Sea is the largest inland lake in the state of California, meaning that it has no outlet, so there isn't really like a way out for salinity or any of the water that comes into the Salton Sea to move around. With higher temperatures, the salinity keeps increasing. The water evaporates, leaving all the salinity behind, therefore posing it's unable to sustain aquatic life at the sea. And with this, habitat values are being lost. And as you might know, the Salton Sea is also an important stop for the Pacific Flyway and many birds that use the Salton Sea as an important rest area per se and feeding area. Also, drought and water availability. We all know, or we perhaps have heard about the recent and ongoing multi-decade drought with the Colorado River, and that's an important driver for the continued recedence of the Salton Sea. So that's some of the challenges that we're seeing at the Salton Sea. Next slide, please. Okay, to help mitigate some of the first potential impacts of the receding Salton Sea, the state developed a plan, a 10-year plan. It's a phase 1 type of a plan that encompasses a list of projects that are happening throughout the Salton Sea, and I'll touch on a couple of them that are active today. So this 10-year plan is aimed towards constructing about 30,000 acres of projects around the perimeter of the Salton Sea, meaning that as the sea starts to recede, we'll have projects happening around those exposed areas to help mitigate potential impacts and keep dust emissions down on those areas. This 10-year plan started in 2018. It's meant to sunset and complete the 30,000 acres by 2028. So we're about halfway through, and we're about a quarter through our commitments on those 30,000 acres. And I'll talk about what the projects are for what we've done so far to achieve those 30,000 acres. Next slide, please. Okay, and also we have a long-term sort of vision or work ahead of us beyond that 10-year plan. The state, along with different collaborators, different stakeholders, and in fact there was a long-term plan engagement committee that came together for almost a year and a half, meeting almost every month, to develop a draft long-range plan, which it was presented December last year as actually a part of a water board order. And it was part of our commitments, or the state's commitments, to look beyond those 10-year plan projects. So this long-range plan, again, it's a draft form, and it includes a list of potential strategies or potential projects that could happen for long-term restoration of the Salton Sea. It's sort of a phase 2, after the first 10-year set of projects. Next slide, please. And now this draft long-range plan has transitioned to a feasibility study. This is actually in partnership with our federal partners, with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They are the lead agency to conduct this feasibility study. However, again, it's in collaboration with local sponsors, which is the Salton Sea Authority and the Salton Sea Management Program, including these 3 agencies that I mentioned that were part of the SSMP team. So this feasibility study will look into deeper detail on those potential projects and look at cost feasibility, engineering feasibility, multiple aspects of the Salton Sea to make sure that there's an in-depth analysis of those potential strategies or actions for long-term restoration of the Salton Sea. Next slide, please. Okay, and I'll briefly talk about a couple of projects that we got going on that are active today at the Salton Sea shoreline. Next slide, please. I'll start first with, before I hop into these projects, I want to make sure I mention a very important factor of getting your projects done, being able to deliver on projects. and that is land access agreements, having the state owns, a very minimum amount of land throughout the Salton Sea. The state is not a significant owner, therefore we rely on collaboration from those that own the land. There, as you see here on this map, you see all this little checkerboard type of map. Each square has it's a color for each of the landowners out there at the Salton Sea. So in order for the state to implement its projects, we need to make sure that we collaborate with these landowners and we work on those agreements to make sure that we have access to the land and also access to implement the project. So that takes some back and forth and a lot of communication, collaboration, and coordination that we make sure that we have a similar vision towards what we want to accomplish for the Salton Sea. So that's definitely something that requires the program to make sure that we collaborate with other folks. So next slide, please. Okay, here's a map of projects that are part of that 10-year plan. As you can see, they are all around the perimeter of the Salton Sea. Not all these projects are active today. I don't want to get your eyes towards those green areas that you see there. 2 projects happening near Salton City, another smaller project happening right next to the community of Bombay Beach. And those are vegetation enhancement projects. Those are projects that are aimed to keep the dust down. And those are really active. Maybe you've seen them if you've driven through the site. Those are the bells projects. You'll see grass bells, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming slides. And I want to redirect your eye towards the very end. Where's that purple perimeter there? That's the Species Conservation Habitat Project located right at the mouth of the New River. So that's exactly where the New River meets the Salton Sea, and that's where the project is happening today. And I have some really cool pictures to show you to get you a better idea and hopefully some scale of the size of this project. Next slide, please. This project, it's a 4,100 acre project, pretty significant in size. If you were to draw a diagonal line, it's about 8 miles or so. And this is the state's first major project as part of that 10-year plan project, or the 10-year plan. And it's aimed to improve air quality by creating wetlands, creating ponds within this 4,100 acre footprint. Also aim to provide critical habitat for those birds and fish that rely on the Salton Sea. And of course, having water in this 4,100 acres will help keep the dust down, therefore mitigating potential impacts of bad air quality coming from this site. Next slide, please. So here's a picture of one of the major components of this project. This is actually looking south. This project, it's about 10 miles from the city of Westmoreland. So this, what you see here, it's what we call a causeway. This was actually built into the water. This didn't exist before. And this is about a little more than a mile into the Salton Sea. And what you see at the tail end there, it's a platform where actually today you see some pumps that are going to pump water from the Salton Sea itself and bring it back actually to meet with New River water. So the causeway, additional to being a way into this platform, it's also it has a pipeline underneath the surface. There's I believe it's a 30-inch pipeline underneath the actual causeway that goes back into the project. If we can hit the next slide, please. This is now coming towards the project. This is the causeway, and what you see there in green to your right-hand side, that's actually vegetation that's growing from the water that's coming from the agricultural drain-off. So, that water itself has a lot of nutrients, therefore, pretty much, growing vegetation on its own as it makes its way to the Salton Sea. And on that causeway, that's the one I mentioned that has that pipeline coming down. Next slide, please. And this is exactly where both waters will meet. The Salton Sea water being pumped into this particular structure that was developed. We actually, right now we're standing like on top of the New River. That's actually a structure that it's called the New River Diversion Structure, meaning that this is where the water, salton sea water, New River water will be mixed to achieve a salinity level that would allow or enhance habitat value for fish, particularly desert pupfish, which is the only endemic species at the Salton Sea for fish. And then what you see on the sides of this picture, which is pretty much just soil there, eventually will be covered with water. And then if we were to follow through or just keep moving forward, that's where the New River meets the Salton Sea. Next slide, please. Okay, just a couple of other features about this project. What you see on your left-hand side, it's actually one of about 11 or 12 islands. That's for birds to nest and just, get some rest. So if you're not sure if you're able to see, but there's a little truck, a yellow truck there, just to give you some perspective or some scale about the size of the project. So this is a single island out of 11 or 12. So just to put that on perspective. On your right-hand side, you'll see some deep channels or deep dredge channels that would allow just different depths of water throughout the project, again, to help enhance and provide a better habitat value for fish. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to shift to these other projects, the vegetation enhancement projects. I mentioned two near the community of Salton City, one right next to the community of Bombay Beach. These three projects areas total about 1,700 acres, and they don't require as much water as the SCH project will. However, the purpose of this projects are to, like its name says, enhance the existing vegetation there. So as the first phase, the team brought in grass bells, and as the second phase, the team then brought in seed and just smaller seedlings and little plants to help grow and just grow at a different rate to achieve a more organic type of growth of vegetation. Next slide, please. And I'll go into the purpose or the concept of having the bells out there as a first phase. These are meant to help reduce the wind speeds that come through these areas. The wind speeds, as you might know, if you have driven through this area near Salton City particularly, you get to see a lot of wind, a lot of dust being picked up, and even perhaps move your car if that's the velocity that those winds can get on that particular area. So the grass bells are meant to slow that speed, therefore helping mitigate the dust, perhaps not at a full 100%, but that's when the plants come in to help achieve a better percentage of reduction. Also, the actual bells help protect those little plants or those seedlings that are being brought in. Otherwise, the high winds will just take them off the ground. So that's the concept behind that. Next slide, please. This is some of the sort of irrigation system that we got going on that we had tested out, just bucket irrigation. We also have drip irrigation. We also truck the water. We're just looking at different options. And I think this project started back in 2022. And we now have a better idea on what's more cost efficient, time efficient, to make sure that we're able to jumpstart those plants in a more sustainable and sort of more affordable way to make them grow. What you see on your far right-hand side, those are those little seedlings that we mentioned. And I think it's worth mentioning that we are working with local nurseries to bring those plants together. So it's quite a significant number of plants that we're bringing in. In fact, this fall-winter season, we're bringing about 38,000 plants through this whole area. So that's a significant amount of plants that we'll get to see in the next year or so grown on this area. So it's again important to highlight that we're not just working in silos or we're working on just the state agencies, but we're also working with local providers and somebody from the region that has this type of plants that are native to the area. Next slide, please. Okay, and also something that the team takes good pride of, it's that we're also able to hire locally or enhance those jobs that that our community really needs. So we strive to get local workforce to be employed and deployed to get to work on these projects. And what you see there, just to mention this, you see those bigger bushes there. They were actually there before. Those are not part of our project. what you see on in your right-hand side, those are the little seedlings that are actually being planted right next to those, so they kind of help nurture each other and help protect one another plant, right? So, yeah, and next slide, please. And this is what it looks today, actually. This is after those rain events that we had a couple of months ago, Storm Hillary, and there was a following one, that we had a significant amount of water coming in through this project area. So the project also has water spreading features, meaning that there are some furrows that were part of the project helping move the water around the project and be able to use that water that's coming in through the rainfall in a more efficient way. So this is what it looks like today. One of the goals is to kind of get the plants to also outgrow the bells, so we'll just see green out there instead of seeing the bells at some point. Next slide, please. Okay, now briefly touch on a few projects that we're working in collaboration with different partners. The Audubon Bombay Beach Wetland Project, it's actually east of the community of Bombay Beach, with support of the Salt and Sea Management Program, but our partners at Audubon are the ones that are taking the lead on implementing that project. The North Lake Pilot Demonstration Project, in collaboration with the Salt and Sea Authority and County of Riverside, that's actually on the north end of the Salt and Sea. And a smaller but very important project, the Desert Shores Channel Restoration Project, a 30,000 acre project that aims to bring water to those people call it fingers, but it's more like channels that were behind people's back doors, literally. So that work is being led by County of Imperial and the Salt and Sea Authority, with support of the Salt and Sea Management Program. Next slide, please. Okay, here are some projects coming down the pipeline. There is a potential expansion of that Species Conservation Habitat Project. I mentioned that 4,100 acre project has the potential to grow from 3,000 to 5,000 acres. So, more than double its size, hopefully. And also the North Lake Pilot Project, North Lake Project, Santa Liva Fan Project, Vista Unit, Habitat Restoration Project, and SCH Vegetation Project. So all of the projects I mentioned in this list total about that 30,000 acre goal of projects that we have coming up for the Salton Sea. Again, just to be clear, those two projects, the SCH project and the vegetation projects, are the ones that are currently active out at the Salton Sea, and they total about 6,000 to 7,000 acres of projects. And next slide, please. And with that, I conclude my presentation. I do really appreciate the opportunity to provide this information. We have our website. If you want to check us out, we also have a monthly e-newsletter that goes out with project updates, with events that we got going on. And yeah, again, appreciate the opportunity and happy to entertain any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. Muchas gracias.
Question. How much money is being invested in all these projects? And where is that money coming from?
Yeah, so primarily our funding is coming from bond money.
Okay.
Also Prop 68 money. Just to give you an idea, the SCH project, the largest project, it's about $206 million of an investment. However, we have more or less of about, I'll say 350 through 400 million for projects, or for the veg enhancement projects, or those projects. So we have about 563 million sort of on our hands per se.
Okay. So what's the timeline? I know you have a lot of projects going on, and is there a timeline for specific projects, vegetation? I see that it's growing, and, so what's the timeline to see? And I see already, vast improvement, and I've gone, around the area a few times, and I've seen some changes, but, what's your timeline to see a change and a bigger change, for the sake of a better question, but going out, and I can see the potential of marketing and actually bringing also more activities, more visits, more revenues into our community, and using that as a way to promote, our area. I mean, that's kind of like where I'm going with this. Where can we see a bigger change and impact to promote this as a destination, which it is already, but the more you invest, that
Right. So again, for this set of projects that I mentioned here today, those are the ones that are part of the 10-year plan projects.
Okay, 10-year plan.
And we are committed and aiming towards the completion of those 30,000 acres by 2028. That will mean the 30,000 acres of projects, and hopefully by then have that second phase with the feasibility study as, coming down and kind of, be ready to come out of the oven to make sure that we have, something coming down and not just wait for future projects. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Great.
Muchas
Good job.
gracias. Thank you.
Gracias.
Alrighty. Moving on to public comments and public appearances. Note, not to exceed 3 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the city council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name and place of residence for the record. While members of the public are encouraged to participate, it is unlawful to disturb or delay the council meeting with personal or slanderous remarks. City council is prohibited by state law from taking action or discussing items not included on the printed agenda. If the item you wish to comment on is on the public portion of the agenda, we will take your comment when we get to that item on the agenda. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. We'll start with Commissioner Garcia. Jesse, adelante.
Good evening. My name is Jesse Garcia, 600 Block of Lincoln Street. I noticed that Rockwood Avenue was on the agenda, I guess, if I forgot to put it. All right. What my downtown today, basically the needs have to be down below there. The city has 4 parking lots downtown, public parking lots. 3 of those parking lots are a big, big mess. All the reason is a big mess because there's no trash cans. So people just throw everything right there in the ground. First one is a parking lot on First Street next to a water tower. Also, it's known as a tourist parking lot. Oh, thank you. It's known as the tourist parking lot. I don't know why all that mess is only around the former clinic building, but it's like a tornado hit there. It's a big mess. Also, right across the street, there's the other parking lot on First and Heber. That's a big, big mess also. Also, there's no trash cans there. So, on that parking lot, there's a wall also to separate the parking lot in First Street. There is a big hole in that wall. It's been there for a long time. It has not, nobody has, they hasn't tried to repair it. There's a piece of rebar sticking out, up. That's a big liability right there. Somebody gets hurt. The other parking lot that's a big mess is the one on 3rd and Pauline Avenue. A big mess also. No trash cans there either. The only parking lot that's kind of clean, just a thing here, a thing there, is the one on 3rd and Heber. That's not too bad. Also, like I mentioned before, we need to put those concrete benches on Rockwood Avenue, 100 block of Rockwood Avenue. Okay, I forgot to do this. Mr. Mayor, first I would like to thank you for finally putting up those American flags in the downtown. That was a good job. But now you have a chance to do something good again. And that is remove those barricades and open up 100 block of Rockwood Avenue for the traffic. Do it in time for Christmas. I spoke to the merchants there, and they said that they have lost revenues, they have lost money because of that. And they would like that street to be open in time for Christmas for the Christmas season, for the shopping. And the only way I could do that is by removing those barricades, putting up the parking meters so the city could get money from that. Those benches, there are 8 benches that are not being used. I saw them, they were being used by the homeless to sleep on. Well, we could get bigger use of them by putting them on on Rockwood Avenue, 4 on each side of the street. And also, I was told, I believe that there's a company that owns those payphones in downtown, that they're the ones that have to remove them. And they should. Hopefully they could be removed. Also, again, everything has to be done before the Christmas parade so that people can see that we have a nice downtown, not like right now. So we need to remove all those payphones hopefully soon, quick. We need to put no smoking signs all over downtown. I said that before, also it hasn't been done. And First Street, every time I go, I notice First Street, by the sidewalk, by the curbside, the whole street is a big, big mess. Because also the street sweeper can't get in there because many cars are parked there at that time. And there are signs that say no parking, but still vehicles parked there. And that's a big mess. I believe what we should do, or the city should do, is put this rule for the merchants that they have to clean their section of sidewalk right in front of their business and the street only. Because the First Street, nobody's doing it. So I believe that's it. So please do something right again and open up that street. You probably don't want to talk about it. You didn't put it on the agenda, but it has to be done.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia.
Yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Legaspi, adelante. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to be up here. Council members, hello. City manager and councilor. I'm also here regarding to the promenade that Jesse spoke about. I too thought it was going to be on the agenda, but a lot of it has to do with the gentleman that was here last week from 7-Eleven. He spoke about safety issues. Being in law enforcement for 34 years, and 33 of those years was out on patrol. We responded to calls, and he's absolutely right. There's a safety factor at the promenade section. We lack staffing in patrol-wise, or the police department lacks staffing in patrol-wise. I have to remind myself that I'm retired. I said we, but I'm still part of them. Responding to calls there at times there are 2 in 1. You have an emergency call on the east or west side of town. You have an officer that's right in the middle of the promenade. It's going to be very difficult for that officer to immediately respond to a park patrol unit that's on the other side of the barricade. You know that, Javier. So we've been having a lot of critical incidents. Recently, we've had a shooting. We've had a couple incidents, or one incident with a barricaded subject. So we need those officers free out there. I think it's a great idea to have a promenade, but this is not the time. Maybe in the near future, once the police staff is fully filled, that can occur. One of the things that, like Jesse had mentioned, he spoke to the merchants, but my advice is for council members to also talk to the merchants, ask about business-wise, how things are moving along, the safety factors. Let them tell you if they're comfortable having barricades right there at the 100 block of Rockwood Avenue. So that's all I have to say about that. I just want to make one comment. I want to give kudos to Lisette Legaspi. At the library, she had Judge Polly Flores come and read a paragraph of his up-and-coming, of his book. Mm-hmm. So I think she did an excellent job in bringing Mr. Polly Flores. She told me, please don't mention that, but I had to do it. So thank you. Thank you.
Señora Estrada, Carmen. Muy buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes, soy Carmen Estrada, soy presidenta y fundadora de Calexico Parents Athletic League y directora de Calzar. Primeramente vengo a felicitar a los empleados de la Ciudad de Parques y Recreaciones por el excelente trabajo que están haciendo, pero también quiero pedirles a ustedes que tienen el poder para hacer lo que les voy a pedir, no nomás yo, somos el pueblo. Necesitamos que contraten empleados para parques, porque me tocó presenciar a 2 empleados, verlos cómo llegaron, porque yo estoy día a día en los campos, ver cómo están. Y los miré en un estado crítico de cansancio. E incluso yo le dije a un trabajador, cuida tu salud, quiero que estés tranquilo. Y por eso me tomé el tiempo a venir con ustedes, porque tenemos que preocuparnos por los empleados de la ciudad, de parques y de todos los empleados, pero yo presencié lo que yo te estoy comentando y eso me llega en el corazón y me preocupa, ¿eh? Gracias.
Gracias, señora Estrada. Enterado. Ms. Rangel, Alexis.
Good evening, council members. Thank you for the appreciation for the farm workers. My mother-in-law is a farm worker. And on that note, I'd like to make some comments on the last meeting that was here. My paternal grandmother is Loli Torres, and I want to thank the police chief for the press release where you clarified the incident that happened with her that day. I appreciate that. Thank you for the clarity. But I do want to say that it's quite concerning. My Nana Loli has always been an outspoken person on many issues. I can tell you a short story. When I worked at the Ivy Press, when I applied, I gave my maiden name and did the background and everything. And my grandma called one time about a concern that she had about the paper. And then my editor said, "Why didn't you tell me you were Loli Torres's granddaughter?" And I said, "Well, I applied based off of my work, not who my family is." So she's always been outspoken. She's always cared about this community. And I find it very disrespectful the way she was gavelled off. I know the police officers were not called on her, but the way she was gavelled off, just because it was apparent to, I think, the entire community that she was struggling to speak. I don't think it hurts. You, Mr. Ordena, have the power to allow people to speak for a longer period of time. I've seen where you give many, I don't know if we're going to call them associates, but friends of yours that share the same ideology as you extended periods of time, but it's not granted to people who maybe have different ideas. And I think that Calexico really needs innovation. And there's not going to be innovation if you are hearing the same ideas from the same group of people. You need to hear from all your constituents from either side. I just think that that's very, I just think it was very disrespectful, and I do want to thank the first responders, the fire department, and everyone else who helped her. I don't want to take too much of your time, but I do want to say, yes, there were flags. I come from a family of veterans, and I think it was also very disrespectful that the city didn't hold any kind of ceremony for them. I could be wrong about that, but my husband is a combat veteran, my dad is a combat veteran, the Monje brothers on my other grandmother's side all served in the military. So I think that you guys don't necessarily have to agree with why people go to war, but you can respect your veterans. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Ms. Lemon, adelante.
Hi, you guys know my name, Rebecca Lemon from Calexico. First of all, you embarrassed the entire city when you told the Kachan tribe to bring their native groups, tribes/clans, spelled with a K. Clans is not spelled with a K. It's spelled with a C. Do not embarrass this city again, and you owe them an apology. The Kachan tribe, you owe them an apology. I also found a bunch of stuff from Calexico Needs Change. That's your thing, right, Gilberto?
Please direct your comments to the City Council.
Fine. Gilberto is a member of Calexico Needs Change. He was standing there with the liquor bottles in front of City Hall when they were trying to get Rosie Fernandez out. We all remember that. But now he's saying that he says that Morris and Garcia were appointed without background checks or any democratic processes involving citizen voters. So I guess we're going to do background checks on everybody up here, starting with birth certificates, educational, everything. We're going to go through everything with a fine-tooth comb. In fact, we're going to do a financial audit pretty soon on the hospital. So I'm just telling you. And she's right. Loli Torres' granddaughter is right. It was embarrassing, our Veterans Day, Memorial Day. I'm the one who was there with putting the flags because someone asked me to. And it's embarrassing that I had to do it. All right? Pinky Peroni was just like, just let's do it. What do you want me to say? I've asked you, how do I get a flag up on that flagpole like your flag? It's desecrated now. It's worthless to anybody. That flagpole was sacred to veterans, missing in action, killed in action, soldiers, their families. Everyone that lives with a veteran understands the lives they lead. It doesn't matter. We didn't start the wars. Maybe we did. Who cares? The matter is they fought for this country. This country. Nobody else's. They fought for us to be free. So when you put that pride flag up there, which I fought, and I told him I was going to do the same thing because that flagpole was sacred. He could have any other one, but he chose that one. So I've been asking you, how do I put a flag of my own up there? And I'm not going to tell you what flag it is. It doesn't matter. How did you get your flag up there? To ruin that pole for your pride event. I'm ashamed of that flagpole. It doesn't mean anything to me. I fought you tooth and nail, and you know I did. It had nothing to do with what you were wearing or what you are or what you think you are. It had everything to do with that pole's sacredness. That's like spitting on a cross. Going to a Catholic church and what's the thing, you guys wear the rosary? And spitting on it too. I don't disrespect what you do. I do not disrespect this country or this nation or these people who live here. And there's a lot of Catholics here. Do you know why Raul wanted to be on the ICTC board, the Transportation Commission? He wants to have a route from Mexicali to Calexico to Planned Parenthood to have abortions to El Centro, back around again to get picked up for their abortions. So this guy wanted to be on the transportation board to make a route. I have his emails here. His dad's wanting to join too. Heffernan, any of you guys Catholic believe in abortions? His dad does. They want to make it like a system-wide structure, to drive around a circle to have a drive-through abortion. Those are babies. I don't care if you don't want it. Give it to somebody else. Someone will take it. Everybody's loved. I don't want to do this.
Thank you, Ms. Lemon. Ms. Selwick? Buenas tardes.
Good evening, City Council. I wasn't planning on speaking today, but after I heard the gentleman come and speak about the problem on First Street is, I am the property owner of part of the problem area. And 2 days ago, I go there about 3 times a week and I sweep. The problem is the dust that's coming from the downtown Port of Entry construction, and also is that you allow now transportation companies to park their vehicles on that whole street, and the people that are in line to get on those buses create trash. And there is a trash can there, but it's always full of flies, full of bees, full of all sorts of things, and people don't want to touch it. So I don't blame people for throwing well, I do blame people for throwing things on the floor. That's not acceptable, but there's nowhere else to deposit the trash. So these businesses that are renting offices along that street that get to park on that, their minibuses and their vans and their cars, they need to provide a broom and something to pick up the trash that their clients are producing. Because we already have a lot of trash. I personally, and I've spoken to a couple people on this, I clean poop and urine about 3 times a week. I go there, I throw chlorine, I sweep. I have tons of pictures from this week. Marijuana, needles, trash, underwear, food, cups. things that we don't know what, I have a picture of a cup from 2 days ago with this black liquid. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's oil. I don't know if it's paint. I try not to touch the stuff, but I do. Personally, I clean up the sidewalks, and it's not even an hour if I go back and they're all dirty again. So we're creating a lot of trash. It's distasteful, it's gross. When people cross the border, the first thing they see is trash, but I certainly am not going to be there 24 hours a day cleaning the streets. There's also a major, huge 4 to 5 foot potholes on C and Perry right in front of Alegria that needs to be taken care of. It's probably worse today because of the rain. So we have these problems, and I'm going to agree. I think most people in this audience today, if you polled them, if you actually stood outside and polled them, want Rockwood Avenue open again. I do speak to merchants there. I speak to the people that Mr. Rashid rents to, the people I rent to, the people across the street, and I've not yet to find one person that says it's a great idea and they love it. Not one. But if you can produce property owners, I own 3 properties there. It's probably 30% of it are against it. I don't know who you're polling, I don't know who you're asking, but you're certainly not asking the property owners, because a lot of them are absentee property owners. So I'm not going to believe that there's people out there, the people that have presented themselves to you have all said, please open it again, and I'm very disappointed it's not on the agenda, because last time I was here 2 weeks ago, it was on the agenda, and it was supposed to be brought back today. Thank you.
City Manager's report.
Good afternoon. I'm happy to announce the new staff available at the City Hall. We have today with us Guillermo Sillas, our engineer, Public Works Director. If you want to stand up, we want to welcome him to the City of Calexico. He has accepted the position, and now he's taking notes of all the matters that you have concerns. So he will be the man. Thank you, Mr. Sillas. We also have Francisco Barba, Development Services Director. He's going to be in charge of the planning and building department, and he has accepted the position. Yesterday was his birthday. Pending consent agenda, I have a contract for Ms. Ronnie Luna as the permanent city clerk. She has been nicely accepted the position, so we're just waiting for the execution of the contract. Ms. Ronnie, thank you for taking the challenge. A late announcement, Mr. Armando Orozco, interim chief of police. He has been working for the last 3-4 weeks so far, more or less, and he already has a plans and making some changes to the department, which I really appreciate. Chief Orozco, thank you for taking the challenge also. And the last one, but not the least one, and I had to give the kudos to Mr. Ainsa, Edward Ainsa, acting fire chief, because he has made so many changes to the department of our department by ordering the equipment that we're sitting for since 2007. Equipment that it was needed, respirators, turnouts, a lot of the equipment, we were sending the engines to be fixed, and Chief Ainsa has been on and on with these activities, and I really appreciate the work that you put into the department. Thank you. So we continue with the recruitment of finance director. We're not going to stop. We're going to continue with that recruitment as well as the chief of police, but we're just taking the steps to do the process, among other positions. I also want to announce that the Public Works Department has finalized the cleanup of Zapata and Vilna retention basins. You can see it on the website. And the next retention basin to be worked on it is Granero Alameda Street. Zapata, Perez, and Granero and Alameda Street. Plans for the installation of the valves, Mr. Garcia, Councilmember Garcia requested an update. I'm happy to announce that 100% of the plans is currently being reviewed by the Public Works Director now, and we're expecting to bring those, the final plans on December the 6th meeting for final approval so that we can proceed with the procurement process. Okay. Cleanups for the downtown is scheduled tonight at midnight. It's a combination of work between Public Works Department working with the Republic Services to address some of the issues that you have heard from the audience. This will include the sidewalks and the alleys, and I want to comment about the issues that we're having on First Street. That those are correct. We have a lot of transient on the downtown First Street. We have been, the Chief Orozco has been going to that facility. Unfortunately, they're breaking into the windows and getting into the building that is being abandoned and condemned. It's a matter of keep going over there. It's mostly by homeless population that is going into the building. But he's watching. We send the Public Works Department to block the doors and everything. As a reminder, that property is on the surplus land process already. And for your information, we already received a proposal for that facility, just to give you an idea of how quick we received the proposal. We only announced it like 2 weeks ago, and we already have a proposal. So hopefully we can fix those issues. Regarding the trash can, I heard your voice, and I'll talk to the Director of Public Works for the issues with the trash collection, so I'll make sure to address those issues. In regards to the alley phase number 1, remember that we have 3 phases for the alley cleanup as a grant through the air pollution control at the county. It was about $3.5 million grant, and we were able to, the Public Works Department was able to complete the first phase. First phase includes a total of 9 alleys. I have the list with me. I can put the list available for everybody to see what those alleys included. And the second phase is scheduled for, they had the 90% of the plans completed this November, which are being reviewed by Public Works Director, and the final design should be coming on December as well for the second phase for acceptance of the City Council. Plans were completed by the consultants, the Dynamic. In regards to the veterans, I want to announce also, I didn't bring to the City Council that donation for the Baja Runners for the breakfast. The City of Calexico sponsored the breakfast for the veterans. And I know that all City Council members have previous arrangements to be out of town. Myself, I wanted to attend, but I ended in the hospital that day. I'm sorry, I apologize for not attending. And every year, the Baja Runners have been supported by the City of Calexico, the donation to pay for the breakfast. And I just want to acknowledge that, and we will continue doing. I agree that we should have an event, a specific event for them. My understanding is tomorrow at 11 o'clock there is an event through San Diego State University and for the veterans, so I will invite everybody to attend. Other than that, that's it for my report. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, let me know.
Ms. Colo, just a very small directive. When you look into the trash cans, if you could please evaluate the solar powered trash cans. There was a question as to whether those are propense to being vandalized or if they could be used for downtown. Just as a directive for you to evaluate with Public Works Director.
Sounds good.
Also,
yes, sir.
Escolio, we had a person, or I think there was a person supposed to be cleaning downtown as a part-time employee with that trash collectors, right? Whatever happened to that position?
That person works from, I believe, 6 to 12 o'clock in the morning. And I have talked to him at that time, more or less, around 6:30 in the morning. He's cleaning the areas, and if you go and take pictures at that time, the downtown looks good. It's until like 9 o'clock that it's become trashy again. I believe Mr. Solwis is correct. We're lacking trash containers, and so the people just throw the trash. One thing that I will suggest is maybe meeting with Chief Orozco regarding the, you mentioned transportation, but I think you're talking about taxes, right?
No, the transportation.
Raiteros.
The company that,
No, not Raiteros.
No?
The actual transportation companies that park their vans and minivans and.
On First Street, yeah.
Right.
Right on from Rockwood to Pauling.
oh, okay. Okay, so we're gonna talk to the chief to see if we can reroute those individuals so they don't sit in that particular, but we'll find out. There's a travel company right there in that street. That might be the reason why they're circulating in that area. But we'll talk to the chief.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you.
All right. Moving on to commissioners' reports. Yes, sir. Adelante. In the interest of time, we'll...
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem's not here. City Manager, Council, City Council, good evening. My name is Antonio Garcia. Everybody knows me as Tony. I'm part of the Community Service Commission. I'm the chairperson there. Vice Chair, I'm sorry. The chairperson cannot attend. She's at the hospital or she's busy today. Anyway, we are conducting meetings as it is now once every 3 months. We had one last week, and we're not scheduled to meet again until February. Unfortunately, there's not very much we can do in that span without having more meetings. And an item of concern is that some of the terms of the current committee expire in 2024. So if they leave, that means we have to start all over again with new members and train them again or show them what we're trying to do and not meet again until October, November, I don't know when. So it means we have to start at page 1 again. Basically, my push today is to come and say, you know what, we need to meet more often. Every other month. As it is, we meet at ad hoc committee meetings at our own time, at our own effort, and we take our own walks to the parks, all of the parks, and even the green areas. And we get together and brainstorm and think up things to do, what can we do. And we finally have a couple of new engineers. Welcome aboard. Hope you can manage with all the short staff you have, but I wish you the best. We're finally going forward in that direction. We basically all say, you know what, to make this work, we have to accomplish something positive and in the eyes of the public. We need to finish at least one park. Finish one, whether it be Heber Park, whether it be Cordova Park, whether it be Nosotros. So Nosotros is done, it needs to be cleaned up. We just need to finish one. And they show, okay, hey, we finished this, check this out. We're moving in the right direction. Okay, that's basically the spur of my moment, and finish one park would be awesome, and let the public know. With a certain funding that was allowed for Heber Park, go with that, use it. Build our gym, build whatever it's gonna be, but use it. Don't pan on like, should we not? No, use it. That way you'll see the public will see something is being done with money, something positive. Thank you so much for your time. Good evening.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Tony, I have,
I
yeah.
didn't leave any chance for a question or two.
Yeah, I have.
I'm sorry.
Anybody?
Do you have a question?
Sure. Ladies first.
No, I just want to mention that direction has been given
Yeah.
to the engineer on
Okay.
his first day of work to analyze the engineering designs for the Heber Park. And because the funding is limited and we will not be able to secure additional funding to maybe downsize the project, but to look into it so that we can modify those plans and get it by phases. We could potentially bid the project with base bid and additives, and we will be forced to award the base bid, but we need to reconfigure the plans, the original plans, so that we can fit into the budget. And that's coming next week for your direction, review and direction. Okay? And as a reminder, I apologize. As a reminder, Ms. Falomir came to the City Council about 2 meetings ago with the plans, the phase 1 request for funding for Cordova, which is in the works already.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask.
Tony,
Yes.
thank you for the update. Hey, so I know you had a lot of work there because I think what happened with your commission, you put together 2 commissions, I think, made one big commission. That's a huge endeavor. So my question is, are you proposing more meetings frequently than opposed to every 3 months?
Yes, because we talked a lot about other projects.
Okay.
Let me throw you one at you. We want to have a year-round program with a swimming pool.
Okay.
Maybe a swim team, maybe classes in the wintertime, because it is heated as far as I know. Well, we need to work with the school district.
Right.
So as it is now, we don't have a winter program for the swimming pool.
So,
We
Ms.
talked-
Colio, what do we need to do for the commission to have more meetings, more frequent meetings, like,
Change the ordinance.
Changing the
right?
ordinance.
Change the ordinance that we
Right.
have so far.
So like, I guess we can work on that to facilitate what
Thank
you-
you,
what you're
thank you
asking.
so much for considering, because it's needed, and like I say, some of the terms will end next year.
Right.
And people that just started, and we're like, these people, you have a lot of good people on the committee.
And
A lot of people that are focused and want to do the good stuff. Yes, sir.
You're recommending every other month? That's your
At least,
recommendation?
if it was for me, it was every month.
Okay.
But
Okay.
at least, you know, and then we can put in some ad hoc meetings through Zoom in those months that we don't meet and get more things done.
Okay.
Thank
you, Tony. Yes.
Alrighty, moving on to city council comments and reports of meeting attended. In the interest of time, I'd like to ask council members who has a city council comment to report.
I do want to say something.
All right, we'll start with you, Mr. Manzanares. Go ahead.
Buenas noches a todos. I do want to say that I most definitely really sympathize with the people that came up here and spoke about downtown. I recently went drive around the streets of downtown, right, because I wanted to check out if the flags were set up, and thankfully they were. So thank you to the Public Works Department for that. But something very clearly has to be done. It doesn't serve justice to the city that we have the way that it is currently. People came up here today, and of course I agree, we have half the police force that we need for the city, right? And unfortunately, we do not have the money to hire the other half out of thin air without putting the city in great financial jeopardy, which we're proud of that we're not in the 2018, 2017 years where we were $3 million in the red, right? So at least we're proud to be where we are today. But the problem does have to be addressed. And as La Señorita Carmen Estrada mentioned, these workers in Calexico are underpaid and overworked. I want to highlight how the city of El Centro recently broke ground for their brand new police department station that they have. Congratulations. Their brand new public library, the Dubois McGee improvements in the park with the all very beautiful projects that we wish we had in Calexico. But those projects were paid with measures. The city of El Centro chose to invest in themselves, right? The city as it stands now, we're surviving with skeleton crews all across departments. And it's been that way for the past decade. Everyone, recreation, police, fire, there's people that we can't even get to take vacations. And there's been very incremental positive changes in the city. For example, we now have a city engineer for the first time in the city, which is gonna save us hundreds of thousands of dollars in consultant fees for the first time in almost a decade. We now have finally a building and planning director here in the city of Calexico. But the problem persists because in that department, building and planning, which we now have a director, now that's the sole person in that department. So the problem again, even though on the surface it looks great, we have a director, the problem persists. And the reality is that the last measure, we are all very proud of Fire Station number 1 in Calexico. It is the gem of the city at the moment. And it was paid with Measure H. The last measure in Calexico that was approved over 13 years ago. Many things in this country and economy have changed since those 13 years. Many things. Inflation, economy, and then that doesn't even also set aside the fact that we have used Measure H not how the citizens intended, which was for public safety investments, right? We used it for a long time to patch financial holes in the city. And I've been hearing so much about we need to focus on economic development. I've heard it so much up here. And of course we need to focus on economic development, but it doesn't happen with understaffed departments. It doesn't happen when you have a half of a police force when you should have, because investors are not going to come into a city that has half a police force. Investors are not going to come to the city when your building and planning department takes a long time because we have one employee for it. It is evident that we need more. We need more than just economic development because we need to kickstart that economic development. And we can't do that with the current rate. Calexico is on a winning streak. The numbers, even though they might not appear it, the numbers financially are healthier than a few years ago. And it is on an upwards trend. But we can wait a decade of trying not to mess things up, of overworked employees, and hope that they don't leave to another city because they're underpaid. We can wait a whole decade for this upward trends to get us to where we were at once in 2013, or we can jumpstart Calexico to make it the city what it once was. And for that, we need new measures. That's the sad reality. Or we are all just going to sit arms, and it doesn't matter who sits here because they're going to face the exact same problems. It doesn't matter if I'm here, it doesn't matter if Moreno, if Camilo's here, it doesn't matter who is here because the reality is going to hit them like a truck when they get up here, and guess what? We need to hire more police. We can't. No se puede. The money's not there. Unless we want to lay off employees in public works, but then who's going to clean the streets? But then who's going to clean the parks? And those employees that remain are going to get even more overworked. So it doesn't matter who sits here unless we pass some measures and Calexico decides to invest in ourselves. El Centro chose to invest in themselves, and we're seeing the fruits of that today. ¿Verdad? Y a nosotros nomás se nos dan los ojos with all these brand new things, but we choose not to. So, as I say, we can wait a whole decade for Calexico to be where it needs to be, or we can jumpstart the economic development in these departments, in this city, but not in 10 years, but in 2, when these measures start to kick in and help our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manzanares. Mr. Moreno, Mr.
Just one quick comment, real quick. This is for Ms. Colio. I guess the issue here with downtown is that we were planning on opening in Rockwood Avenue. Do we have a plan for that? Based on the comments of the merchants?
We met with the SCAC and COA, the company KOA, and they provided some guidance about additional funding, which is part of the options that we're presenting. You requested options. We're not recommending any of the options. We're just presenting the options to you to open or to reinvest or to reopen and then redesign. There will be 3 options for you to decide in the next meeting. But also, along with the action that you decide to take, we bring in some funding opportunities as well as funding that is left from the essential workers after processing 1,200 applications so far. And so I think one ties to the other one, and that's why we laid the presentation, because the information was presented to us by SCAC. And we're going to present those options to you so that you can make an educated decision about how to proceed.
So essentially, that's what's holding up opening First Street?
Yes,
Rockwood?
because as a city council, you as a city council, all of you, well, with the previous city councils as well, voted to close the Rockwood Plaza, the Rockwood Street. So in the same way, you need to vote to reopen or to remain closed or to maybe do adjustments.
Right, I understand all that, Ms. Colio. I was in favor of that because it was a pilot program, because we were getting some funds to pay that. That's fine. That was a year ago. It's done with. We're now facing issues there on Rockwood Avenue. It's evident that the merchants that are frustrated, citizens are frustrated. I like to see a plan that has results, not just, now we're going to add another item to that original 2 items. When we first started with 1 item, now it's 3 items. That's not results. I need a plan that says by next council meeting, it's going to be on and you're going to vote on it, and let's move on. We vote on it, we open it, or we don't open it. It's evident that it's affecting the merchants, so I like to see a plan there. I know there's there's all kinds of things involved with that, and I appreciate your effort, Ms. Colio. And I don't want to put you on the spot or anything because we're unlimited resource and all that, but it's just, for me, it's very frustrating that we've been here with this topic for months and months and months, and I personally, along with Mr. Garcia, and I think also, if I may speak on behalf of Mr. Manzanares, also is concerning that we have an open Rockwood Avenue, and I'm still waiting for that. So please have a plan, present it at the next city council meeting, and let's vote on it. Thank you.
You know what, in essence of time, I will be very brief. I know we have a lot of people here. You know, thank you for coming to all of our colleagues from other cities, and that, well, it's not every day that we have you here, so welcome to our city. Real quick, also, Esperanza, I know that, you know, this is probably a future agenda item also, but I know we're talking about cleaning and also having people help, you know, and I know there are plenty of people who want to help. I think the problem is that, you know, we have processes that we have to make sure that we comply with for safety of everybody's safety. But also we had discussed about maybe come up with a plan as to how we can get additional insurance and somehow, you know, streamline the process for them to go out and clean up, you know, help us clean up and help us with what we don't have right now. I understand that the staffing levels, that's something that we have known ever since we came in here, and that is going to continue to exist. But for now, at least, if the citizens are really willing to help, which we know they are, let's facilitate that process. Let's not make it a process. Let's make it more of a thank you for them. You know, this is what we can do for you also. Not having a cumbersome process to do those events, cleanup events. So that's something that I want to see also in the agenda item. Real quick, also, I want to congratulate Calexico Unified School District. They had a great event yesterday, grand opening / groundbreaking ceremony. I know that another thing that we need to invest is education. So I know that, you know, by modernizing the high school, building facilities that really are going to cater to our students, our population. That's another part of the investment that we need to make. That's another part of the investment that the community is making by measures, by investing in our youth, in our community. So again, congratulations to them, and thank you for the invitation. It was a pleasure to be there. And I know it's after the fact, but again, my apologies to our local veterans and veterans overall that I couldn't attend. I was out of town on a previous commitment. But again, nonetheless, you're always remember and thank you for your service. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Vice Mayor Romo, ¿algún reporte?
Thank you. Only my comment is just to thank the administration and staff for all the work they do. I would like to welcome the new employees, and I have no more comments, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Romo. I just have 3 brief comments. Most of them are transportation and border related. Today we had the ribbon cutting for the Calexico East Port of Entry bridge widening project that comes with the pedestrian enhancements and 2 more added commercial lanes. We are looking at a Calexico East first on the border commercial truck scheduling pilot program that will be coming in conjunction with Caltrans and federal authorities. It was announced this week that Sentry, we now have a pilot program for the next 2 months, starting November 13th. Now, Sentry is open 24 hours at the Calexico West Port of Entry. That's going to be going on until the end of the year, and federal authorities will evaluate whether they're going to keep that. Ms. Colio, I wanted to ask you if for us to expedite the rental that we need for the state of the city under your executive authority. I think it behooves us to have a set date so that we can start making invitations for December, the state of the city. And with that, I think that's all my reports.
And just for information, we already secured the building. It's December the 14th.
Okay, at what time?
Yes, 6 p.m.
At 6 p.m. Okay.
Yes.
Sounds great. Thank you. All right, moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered routine by the Calexico City Council, Redevelopment Agency, Successor Agency, Calexico Financing Authority, and will be enacted by one motion as listed. Any item may be removed from the consent calendar and considered separately by the council. Any motion on the consent?
So move.
So moved by Mr. Moreno. Is there a second? Second by Ms. Romo. Roll call vote.
Mayor Raúl Ureña,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares,
Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Yes.
Consent calendar passes. Moving on to discussion and potential action items. Appointment by City Council of one General Commissioner to the Calexico Housing Authority Board. We do have 3 candidates. If we could read out their names, Ms. Clerk.
We have Juan Ortiz, Richard L. Romero, and Juan G. Villarreal.
I'll make a motion to approve Mr. Villarreal for the position.
A motion
Anybody second that?
for
Second.
Villarreal. Is there a second? Second by?
Second.
By Camilo. All right. We'll have a roll call vote on that motion.
Mayor Raúl Ureña,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares,
Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. 12. Item number 13, discussion, direction, and Pro County Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO appointee to vote in support of AB 918. We do have 2 public comments on this item. It is the adoption of a resolution of the City of Calexico opposing in Pro County LAFCO's approval of the expansion of Pioneer Healthcare Memorial District to encompass the entire County of Imperial. Mr. Hernandez from the Assembly Member's Office, if you could proceed with your comment.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, honorable members of Calexico City Council, members of the audience. My name is Guillermo Hernandez, field representative for Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia. It's my privilege to address you today on a matter of great significance to the people of Imperial County, the implementation of AB 918 and our collective stance against the expansion of Pioneers Memorial Healthcare District as proposed to LAFCO. I want to express our gratitude to the Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District based here in Calexico for their exceptional leadership and proactive efforts in implementing AB 918. Their commitment and oversight have been instrumental in paving the way for a more unified, efficient healthcare system in our region. Calexico stands at the forefront of this historic transformation in healthcare. City support and leadership have been vital in driving forward the vision of a consolidated healthcare system under the Imperial Valley Healthcare District as mandated by AB 918. We are now faced, excuse me, with a critical decision to uphold the objective of what is now law, AB 918, in the face of PMHD's proposed expansion. This plan stands in direct conflict with the law's mandate for a united healthcare system. Assemblymember Garcia's opposition to tax increase in line with this, Assemblymember Garcia has strongly opposed the substantial tax increase that Pioneers proposes to place on the March ballot. This move, lacking in adequate community consultation, directly challenges the spirit of AB 918, which prioritizes extensive public involvement and transparent community-focused planning. Approving Pioneer's expansion would not only counteract the unified vision for healthcare in our county, but also potentially dilute the resources and focus crucial for the development of IVHD, the Imperial Valley Healthcare District. It's imperative that we direct our collective efforts towards a healthcare model that serves the entire county, including the unique needs of Calexico residents. Now, I urge the Calexico City Council to continue standing in solidarity with the principles of AB 918 by adopting the resolution today opposing LAFCO's approval of Pioneers Memorial Healthcare District's expansion. You're reinforcing a commitment to healthcare future that is equitable, efficient, and reflective of our collective needs. In conclusion, on behalf of Assemblymember Eduardo Garcia, I thank you for your dedication to improving our healthcare system and for your foresight in making decisions that align with the best interests of the entire community. Calexico's leadership, Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District leadership is a beacon of hope and progress in our journey towards a united healthcare system. Thank you for your commitment to our community's health and well-being.
Ms. Mendoza, Senator Steve Padilla's office.
Good evening, Mayor,
Good
Council, public. My name is Jason Mendoza, District Representative for the Office of Senator Steve Padilla. Like Guillermo mentioned, it is very important for our office to be here as well to, as you discuss the application of pioneers over at LAFCO. Our communities deeply depend on the healthcare services that El Centro Regional Medical Center, Pioneers Memorial Healthcare District, and Heffernan Memorial Healthcare District provide. We extend our heartfelt gratitude for their unwavering commitments to patient healthcare, especially during these difficult times. The implementation of AB 918 faced significant challenges this year, but based on the invaluable feedback of the community, AB 918 was crafted to deliver upon the core objectives of this application, inspiring progress and positivity. Pursuing this expansion route will result in costly and unnecessary legal conflicts with new state laws. Instead, I strongly recommend collaboration with regional partners to work towards a seamless implementation of AB 918. This will help us achieve our shared health vision while avoiding unnecessary legal complexities and wasteful expenditures of taxpayer resources. Remember that AB 918 aims to improve our constituents' services and quality of care. We've resisted change far too long, but we are now at an impasse and change is necessary. Given the high stakes, we must set aside past differences and work collaboratively to benefit those we serve. We must come together as one to ensure that the healthcare needs of our community are met with the utmost care and attention. That is why I respectfully ask for this council to continue to support AB 918 and urge your appointee to vote in favor for it while opposing Pioneer Memorial Healthcare District's expansion application with LAFCO. Thank you, and again, we hope that you will continue to consider the community's priorities and take into consideration the quality of care for our constituents as we work together through this. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Oliva from El Centro Regional Medical Center.
Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing me a moment to say a few words. I know that I sit as a colleague of you all in a city to the north, but my comments here today is as the president of the El Centro Regional Medical Center. And so I am here asking, pleading that you accept the recommendation that is before you, essentially to take a stance in opposing LAFCO's intent to continue entertaining an application to expand a healthcare district in Imperial County when that issue has already been settled. On October 8th, when the governor signed AB 918, because of the urgency clause, it immediately became law. And so essentially here it's a question of constitutions and the supremacy clause. And so here, the mere fact that LAFCO is still trying to entertain that application is in direct conflict of statute, of law, that was put into place by the legislature of the state of California and the governor's signature. And so there's an obligation here. The obligation is to stand with the fact that a state statute supersedes a pending application. Now, arguably, if that application had been adopted prior to the governor signing it, you know, we would have a different legal issue before us, right? But that application is pending. It never advanced. It continues to be considered, but again, a law was made, was put into place, and so all this will do to even entertain the application would just to open up a legal process. You know for a fact that folks are going to file lawsuits. We're going to lose a lot of taxpayer dollars in something that we already know to be the case. I could tell you that El Centro's legal counsel has already finalized a determination and analysis as to their opinion on the legality here, and it was accepted by the legislature's legal counsel as stating that AB 918 supersedes a pending application. And so, again, knowing all of that, I ask you to please accept the recommendation from staff and to adopt a resolution opposing LAFCO continuing that process. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cesenia Cedric from the City of El Centro.
Well, this is a little different for me, and normally not speaking from this place.
You still look sharp, though.
And it's been many years since I stood before you, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members, City Manager. I appreciate your time in entertaining my comment. One of the things that I want to share with you, obviously as the City Manager for the City of El Centro, who is the owner of the real property for the facility where El Centro Regional resides, as also the treasurer for El Centro Regional Medical Center, and a citizen of the city of Calexico. I come before you to ask that you support, right, the letter or the resolution of opposition to the LAFCO process that is going to be before the LAFCO Commission tomorrow morning, November 16th. It is true that the LAFCO Commission must give heavy weight to your comment or your resolution as it's being raised as an objection to the actual processes that are in place or that are going to be happening at the LAFCO meeting. I can tell you that as a citizen, but more importantly as a 30-plus year paramedic, that healing does not happen in the back of an ambulance. And the city of Calexico is already an underserved area as it covers healthcare. And your citizens, people like myself, have to drive to El Centro Regional or even Pioneers. I can't imagine being in the back of an ambulance and unable to breathe and having to drive all the way to Pioneers or vice versa if the situation dictated so. So it's very important, and we are here present before you to ask you to truly put some thought into the resolution of your city to oppose the processes that are currently in place at the LAFCO Commission, as long as those are outside of the tenets of AB 918. Thank you, and have a good night.
Ms. Bernal. Speaking of...
Good evening. As part of the board of the Hefferman Memorial Health Care District, I'm here. One of the things that I've been on Hefferman for many, many, many years, and one of the things that I keep on hearing, what is Hefferman doing with our monies? What is Hefferman doing? You're not doing anything. And for once in our life, we're going to do something where you will know where your taxpayers' monies is going. And not just that. The thing is that we knew this was coming. Over 15 years ago, we tried to meet with El Centro, with Brawley, and Calexico to become one. It didn't work out. But we knew that this was going to happen, and it's here facing us right now. This is not a ball game. This is not El Centro and Brawley. Let's see who gets the ball. Let's see who's in control. This is about saving lives. And you know who the ones that are at more risk, as you mentioned, Calexico. Because if Brawley takes over, we have 30 miles to go to be able to be saved. I don't know about you, but I'm 74 years old, and I'm pretty soon going to need some type of medical help. I don't want to wait. I don't want to get a heart attack and have to wait 30 minutes before I get to a hospital. Please, this is about saving lives. This has nothing to do with who's in power. It has to do with saving your loved ones. All of you have family here. Think about that. Do you want to drive all the way to Brawley? and maybe when you get to the hospital, you find out that your loved one didn't make it? I leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. All right, that concludes public comments, bringing it back to the City Council. At this moment, if we have any suggestions, any motions.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Mr. Moreno. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Manzanares. Roll call vote.
Mayor Raúl Ureña,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Romo,
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia,
Yes.
Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares, Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. For brevity, item number 14 is the temporary use permit request in the installation of a V-shaped sign located at the intersection of Cole Boulevard and MLK Avenue. It's my understanding what's being put before us is a temporary encroachment permit for 6 months while we figure out permanent ordinances on signage on Cole Boulevard. If I could have Planning Director Barba come up and verify before we vote. Thank you, City of El Centro. Thank you, Mayor Cardenas.
Good evening, Honorable Council and members of the public. So on August 24, 2020, the City of Calexico Development Services Department issued a temporary encroachment permit for a commercial advertising sign located at the corner of Cole Boulevard and MLK Avenue within the city right-of-way. So the subject sign was subsequently removed by the IID approximately or estimated to be at around 2022. So upon having the sign removed by the IID, the applicant submitted a second request for another temporary use permit to rebuild the sign with the exact same dimensions on the exact same location. And the request was presented to the City Council during a regularly scheduled meeting on May 3, 2023, whereby the City Council, upon reviewing the findings and opening the floor for public comments, issued a directive to staff to return the item for another date in order to gather information on potential actions for the proposed request. So as requested by City Council, City staff conducted a review and they found that following the City Council's recommendation as well, that an zoning ordinance update can be conducted via, an ordinance to allow the city to, these types of commercial advertising signs to be developed, not just for this particular applicant, but also to all commercial businesses within the city. So given the lengthy time it takes to conduct a zoning ordinance update, staff were instructed to present a 6-month temporary use permit in order to give the applicant some relief while the city staff initiates a zoning text amendment. So the zoning text amendment would be presented to the City Council at a later date once complete for their review and or modifications, approval, or denial. And additionally, the temporary use permit may be, while it is issued for a period, it may be issued for a period of 6 months, it can be removed or
Renewed.
it can be renewed upon request, but it can also be revoked by the City Council should they deem it necessary or should the zoning text amendment process complete sooner than expected.
Thank you, Planning Director. I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Yeah, just one little caveat here. Yeah. I would I think everybody's in agreement, especially Esperanza, is that we make sure we don't put political signs on that because it tends to be, every time we see signs out there, they put political signs. Mr. Yepes, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys' effort. I know it was a long ways in a while, but I really appreciate your patience. I'm in agreement with what the work was done. Esperanza made a recommendation to us, so we're going to agree to vote on it. That's all you'd say.
How long, originally the first TUP, for how long was it, the permit? Sorry,
So when the first temporary encroachment permit was issued, there was never a set time indicated, and the municipal code requires a set time for a temporary use permit. So subsequently, the permit was allowed to, or the use was allowed to continue for more than 2 years until the IAD removed it.
Okay, because I only have one concern about this, which is the length of the permit that we're giving. I mean, it took us 6 months since we prior gave direction for the city to be here today, even though originally at that meeting it was like, oh, we'll have it done within a month or two. And it's been 6 months and we're here today basically saying we couldn't do it, so here's the permit today, right? I just don't want to find myself having to be back here and voting on this again in 6 months. Realistically, your department only has one person and you have a ton of work to get through. So I just don't want to, like realistically, I would like to update this permit to just be for 1 year while the proper ordinances are updated. Again, just for the sake of time saving, I don't want to be here in 6 months debating this again. That would be the only recommendation that I give.
Thank you. Was it initially 6? You recommended 6 months? Is that what I know we can do more, I know that, but initially there's a reason why it was 6 months, right?
Yeah, so the city council has the authority to reduce the number of months or increase it.
That was the recommendation, 6 months.
However, the 6 months was determined based on it would take an average about 3.5 months to conduct a zoning ordinance update.
Okay.
So an extra 2 months or a month and a half was added as a buffer because there may be some delays or some to the ordinance update, and that would help alleviate. But additionally, the applicants may request an extension for that should the zoning text amendment exceed the expected 3 months.
And the ordinance would supersede the permit. So if it gets done within 9 months, right, it kind of saves us the time to be back here and kind of like extending it, bringing it back to the city.
So if the ordinance were to be adopted prior to the expiration date of the permit, so it would then be revoked, as there would no longer be a need for that temporary use permit, and the applicant would be made aware, and it will be as part of a condition, but it should be stated that it will only be revoked upon the issuance of or the execution of this ordinance. So it won't be before the ordinance is adopted, only after.
I think we should be good with 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, you've been pretty proactive with the carports. You've been, working pretty quickly with zone changes. But the door's open for us to extend it. I mean, it just takes a vote to extend it.
I mean, does it hurt a year? Doesn't hurt a year, right?
We can accept the motion as well. I mean,
If I may, just going back to what Mr. Manzanares was saying, I think we need to really make sure that there's plenty of time, because this is not just about one, sign, but this is potentially for other businesses that are also going to come up and say, you know what, I also want to make sure that I can promote, my business, I can advertise my business, so that we don't have to come back every time there is a, specificity about, a request. So let's work on a ordinance that will cover all of that, or at least most of it, because we know that things are going to come up. But, let's make sure that we don't have people investing money in this type of, project. And I think that was something that came up, originally, where the gentleman was saying that, if he invests money into this sign, of course, he wouldn't want to have it for 3 months or maybe even 6 months, right? Because it takes money. So I just want to make sure there's plenty of time, and that it's not just on a temporary basis that he will invest. And I don't know how much that will be, but I mean, we're talking about helping businesses also. So let's just give plenty of time for each part to work on something that, if a year maybe it might be worth their investment, and also a year, it's plenty of time. And if you have it before, well, so be it. Congratulations on that, and we will clap you, and everybody will clap you that you will have it beforehand or before the timeline. But let's just do it right. Let's just make sure that we don't.
What's your recommendation, Ms. Colio?
One comment that I want to make sure is that this is the process to get a type of enforcement of this matter. The previous one was not done with the process. And so I'm not going to honor something that it was done before So this is a new encroachment.
So
If
from
you want to
scratch.
make it for 1 year, that's okay.
Right.
Just know that there is a liability issue. It was addressed to us, a potential liability, which I don't think is going to be a big deal because that sign was there for 2 years before.
Yeah.
Nothing happened,
Right.
so hopefully everything goes
So,
well. But I just want to
What
make
was
sure.
the liability?
Potential accidents because of destruction and all kinds of stuff. They were addressed by the attorney previously.
So, and that was the other question that I had, and thank you for reminding me, because there were some questions that came up the first time around on liabilities, and even I think verifying that, how far, or how close we were to the right of way from IID, because that was the other issue that came up, the way that it was removed, or alleged to be removed. I want to make sure that, we are within our scope of, in sphere of influence when it comes to doing this also, because I wouldn't like to give an okay or a green light to something that, we're not completely, in our scope in the sphere of, influencing a sphere, authority. So if we have that for a fact that all of that is clear, because I don't want us to be liable. Well, I don't want that, business to also invest and later on, be told, well, you're going to have to remove it, because you're encroaching in my, property. So if there's still some work to be done, let's do that instead of just giving direction right now.
Ms. Colas, if we're looking at liability, could also be potential to limit certain signs? Because, once we put one, people are going to come in, I want to put my sign too. So can we limit certain signs too also?
It will be addressed by the ordinance.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Just so you know, I don't have the authority as a city manager to approve an encroachment of this type.
Right.
Any additional encroachment will have to come to the city council for approval. I'm not taking that responsibility. Just be aware, we're following the process, that's the process.
I would like to accept the recommendation and amendment to the motion to extend the period of time to 1 year. So I'll reframe my motion that way if there is a second.
I'll second that.
Okay. All right. Any further
So
discussion?
we're proposing for 1 year, as opposed to 6 months. Do you think that's enough, more in ample time?
Yes, because
And addressing the all those things we talked about, right?
yes, the reason why it took us longer is because there were so many projects pending. We discussed those projects with you, EDUs and all that stuff that were pending. There's so much work that has been done, and Mr. Barbara has advanced in all of those projects, and so I believe he's going to be on target for this. So 1 year is okay.
Okay. Roll call vote?
Mayor Raúl Ureña.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Gloria Romo.
Yes.
Councilmember Camilo Garcia.
Yes.
Councilmember Gilberto Manzanares.
Yes.
Councilmember Javier Moreno.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Passes unanimously. Last item is future agenda items. Does anybody have any future agenda items outside of Rockwood, which will be on the agenda?
My name is Juan Villarreal, and I just wanted to say thank you for my appointment as Commissioner to the Calexico Housing Authority.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Villarreal. Okay, thank you.
Congratulations.
Nice.
Yes.
Okay. Future agenda items. Rockwood will be on the next agenda, so that's already taken care of.
Yes, I want to ask something because we have the next meeting, the next city council meeting is until December the 6th.
Okay.
We can either wait for that time or we can have a special meeting. It's up to you. We have the numbers. We completed the numbers. We lost 2 of the temporary workers that we have working on the essential work.
Special meeting is probably best because people want this item. Monday, November 20th would be.
No,
Not Monday, or we had said Tuesday.
Tuesday the 22nd?
21st?
Before Thanksgiving?
Before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But I need to know if you're going to be available, because if we don't have quorum, we cannot have a meeting.
What about for Wednesday for consistency?
Wednesday is fine.
If anybody's traveling out of town?
I'm available. This is
What,
important.
Wednesday?
This is important for
Wednesday?
me. I'll be here.
For the
Wednesday,
promenade
next Wednesday.
special meeting?
Yeah.
22nd? Mr. Garcia?
That's
Okay.
fine. And if we can have it at least at 6 o'clock, so
Yeah.
that way everybody can
Yes.
make it, and
Right.
not during the day or.
Consistent with normal hours, of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
6:30?
So
5:30?
November the 22nd, 6 p.m. Is that okay?
6 or 6:30? Which is better?
It's up to you.
Council.
I mean, staff has to get together. I mean, I'm available
Si-
anytime.
6
You
p.m.
have
I
to-
think is doable.
6 p.m.
Yes.
is the day before the holidays, so,
Right.
but again, let's just advertise it, let's just make sure that that
Yes.
is just the one item that is on the agenda.
So it's,
we don't-
it's actually the two, it's one next to tie to the other one, the essential workers, because that's gonna give us the funding, and then some proposals as well.
That should be part of that,
Yes.
and anything else,
Yes.
no.
Okay,
All right.
sounds good.
And
Thank
any
you.
future agenda items? No? Alrighty. Motion, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, motion. So moved.
Second, all those in favor, signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is, meeting is adjourned at 8:25 PM. Thank you.